Cancer. So this is your astrology reading for the month of January. So I am doing things a little bit different. Let me know if this format works for you, if it doesn't work for you, if you want me to do something different, or I guess I can also tell by the views here. So we'll see how this plays out. But what I am doing here is really focusing on those major aspects. And so we're in the month of December. I was kind of doing it a little bit differently, kind of isolating each one. I thought it made more sense to really understand the entire month so I could kind of tell you the story and of just what is happening in your life, how things are progressing, and really how to use this energy. And so if I can give you a heads up and you're able to use this energy a little bit more efficiently and to your advantage, then all the better. What we have during the month of January is a lot of Capricorn energy. And so Capricorn is opposite your sign. And so what that means is that your house of one-to-one relationships is going to be heavily, heavily impacted this month. In fact, the majority of the transits are going to be transiting your 7th house of relationships. And so this would be marriage partners. If you're not married, maybe this is like a significant other. This would be those close personal relationships that you have. More romantic than anything else, but it could indicate here like mentors and bosses and people that you have just that close connection with, these people that you can be yourself and really develop and grow that relationship. And the reason that I'm highlighting maybe your boss here is on January 1st, we have Mercury stationing direct in the sign of Sagittarius. That is going to impact your 8th house. And so let me talk about Mercury for a minute. Mercury is how we communicate. You always hear about Mercury retrograde and what does that mean? And so Mercury is how we communicate. It's also how we process information. During the month of December, Mercury was in the sign of Capricorn and then it went retrograde mid-month. And during this cycle, it was in Capricorn, retrograded back into Sagittarius, and then later in the month of January, it is going to station direct again. And so when it was in the sign of Capricorn, it had you really thinking and kind of figuring out from a communication standpoint, what is it that you want when it comes to those one-to-one relationships, those personal relationships? Now, with Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius, the focus here is what maybe is coming to the surface, because Mercury, when it was retrograde, there was a lot of internal processing. And with your 8th house, this would be intimacy issues. Think of like power and control. Has somebody been manipulating you? And now it's finally coming to the surface. You're finally understanding the gravity of the impact that it was having on you, because that is that processing, that is that Mercury at work here. And so what you're doing with Mercury and Sagittarius is you're kind of seeing things from that big picture. You're kind of understanding how everything plays together. Maybe you always respond to certain things in a certain way, and now you're starting to understand why. So this is really giving you that opportunity to really take what you've been kind of internalizing it and now present it out. Because when Mercury stations direct, that communication isn't just internal anymore, it is now external. And so this might be where you start to talk about, okay, these are the things that have been holding me back from having the type of one-to-one relationships, those personal romantic relationships that I seek. This is why I've been keeping somebody at arm's length or multiple people, and I just never get that type of relationship that I want. This is why. Things are now going to start to kind of fall into place. You're going to start to understand the truth of the situation. That is Sagittarius energy. And so all of this 8th house energy. And where I had said before with bosses, 8th house is also other people's money. So this could be a significant other and their money. This could be the money that you make at your job. And so again, understanding if this is more career that it impacts you, this would be having that boss that you're close to. Some of us have those, some of them don't. I'm one of the lucky ones that does happen to have a boss like that. And so this would be, I would be able to have a conversation with my boss about money, about these different things. And it would be, okay, let's have that realistic conversation. What is it here that maybe needs to change, and kind of go from there? Because Capricorn energy is about coming up with a strategy. What is that long-term goal that you have for yourself? And from that Sagittarius standpoint, what is that big picture perspective that you're trying to do? So it's really the merging of that big picture with that long-term plan that you're developing. And so it's not just about the communications here. We actually are getting into some action here. So on January 4th, Mars is going to enter the sign of Capricorn. So again, when you think about this, Capricorn, long-term plans, you're kind of working through exactly what it is that you want from that perspective. And again, this is going to be in the area of your one-to-one relationships, those personal relationships. Mars in the mix is saying, okay, well, now it's time to act. You don't need to just sit and think about this anymore. The time for action is now. And so just kind of keep that in mind, because what you're going to be doing at this point, the steps that you're going to be taking are to kind of bring your dreams into reality. Make what you want in your kind of thought world down into the real world. And so into that 3D environment. So just kind of keep that in mind. But also want to highlight here that there is this square happening to Neptune, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you as I say those words, but things may not be crystal clear when it comes to the dreams that you have or the way to go about them. So just be open to making some modifications to this long-term plan, because it's not going to be fully solidified. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through the month. And then on the 11th, we have the new moon in Capricorn. And so what happens here is we've got Mercury. Well, not quite yet. We have actually a stellium between the sun, the moon, the Mars, and Pluto. And so all 4 of those are in the sign of Capricorn during this new moon. And so the sun is the way that you express yourself. So this is your soul's expression. The moon is how you internally process things. So this is how you emotionally process things. We have Mars in the mix. So Mars, what actions do you need to take? Now we've got Pluto. And so with Pluto in the mix, what is it that needs to change here? What does that mean from a transformation standpoint? Pluto is that planet of death and rebirth. It is also about all of those 8th house energies. So if there were intimacy issues, if this was something that maybe was highlighted during this Mercury retrograde, this Pluto energy with the Mars would indicate this would be the time for you to let go. New moons are great at starting something new, but they're also really great at releasing all of those things that you might understand are holding you back from going after this goal, from having the life that you want when it comes to your romantic relationships. And so this is a really great time to kind of release any of those intimacy issues that you may have experienced in the past and realize that it's time for that to close. A couple days later, now we get Mercury. Mercury will be back into the sign of Capricorn. And so we have a different stellium happening at this point on the 13th. So the moon's gone. The moon is a very fast moving energy. It takes roughly a month to move through all the zodiac signs. And so what we're going to have at this point is the sun, Mars, Pluto, and Mercury. And so the sun, again, expression. We have Mercury, more expression. So this would be that open communication. This would, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to say? What is it? Because do and say are the 2 things that are highlighted here with Mars. And we have Pluto. So what needs to change? What actions are you taking to change your circumstances? What is it that you want to do here? Because all of that's being highlighted. And this transformation that has been taking place over the last couple of weeks leading up to this, including when we had the full moon in Cancer in your sign, we had Chiron stationing direct. When all of this was happening, there was a lot that was maybe coming to the surface. And I mean, I felt it. I know my friends felt it. So there's been just kind of this major shift happening here. And just know that whatever is transforming here is being blessed by the universe. There is this Jupiter energy connected to it, and it's extremely positive. Whatever Jupiter touches, it's kind of like that Midas touch. Whatever it touches is a very positive thing here. And so just kind of during this new moon and all of this energy with all these different stelliums, really just kind of maximize it to your full potential. A week later on the 20th, so we actually have 2 pretty significant things happening here on the 20th. So we have Pluto Cazimi in the sign of Capricorn at 29 degrees. What does that mean? So this is going to impact your house of relationships still. So again, those one-to-one relationships. But now we have Pluto and the sun. They're in a close conjunction. They're at the same degree point. They're at the last degree point in Capricorn. Later this day, they actually move into Aquarius. So think about what cycle needs to come to a close, because this is some sort of cycle connected to your relationships. So again, kind of thinking of all those things that maybe have come to the surface, all those triggers, all those things that you know you just need to let go of. Now is the time to let go of it. This Pluto Cazimi, it will happen again later this year when Pluto does kind of retrograde back into Capricorn for a couple months before it moves back into the sign of Aquarius. The reason that this is a big deal, so Pluto being the planet of transformation, the reason that it changing signs is a really big deal, it doesn't happen that often. So to put it in perspective, it takes almost 250 years for Pluto to go through all of the signs. And so when it finally settles into the sign of Aquarius, it's going to be here until March of 2043. We actually got a taste of this Pluto in Aquarius energy, so that age of Aquarius that you'll hear about. We actually had a taste of it, and it was from March 23rd to June 11th of 2023. And so kind of taking that step back, when you learned about maybe some of these intimacy issues that you had, or something here that you needed to release connected to past relationships, maybe things that triggered you, and now you want to try to modify whatever's happening here so that you can have those healthy relationships going forward. And so when you think about that, this Pluto Cazimi is giving you an opportunity to really implement those long-term goals that you have with yourself in regards to your personal relationships. And now with this Pluto and Sun entering Aquarius just a couple hours later in the 6th house, now it's going to impact your daily routines. And so you're coming up with a strategy, and now how do you make that fit in your daily life? That's really what's happening here. What needs to change in your daily life? Because that's what Pluto is doing. Aquarius here is it's known as the rebel of the zodiac. And so expect some out of the box thinking, expect things to maybe, again, go a little bit differently than you planned. So this is where you need to be open to maybe modifications to your plan here, because Aquarius is saying, yeah, that's great, you came up with this plan, but it's not going to go exactly the way you want it to. We need to move this here, we need to change this, and we need to kind of go in this direction in order to get exactly where you want to be. And so that's what this Pluto and Aquarius energy is going to do for you. And so this is really giving you that opportunity to explore your emotions, figure out what here needs to change, and then change it, and be open to change here. On the 23rd, we have Venus in the sign of Capricorn. So this is going to enter into the sign of Capricorn. We think about Venus. Venus is your love, your relationships. It's your love language specifically. And so it's going to impact your 7th house of those one-to-one relationships. And here, this is kind of almost giving you another opportunity to really look at your long-term plan and make sure that your end goal is really what you're looking for. Is the type of relationship you're looking for, is that grounded? Is that practical? And now with your 6th house kind of in that mix, what changes do you need to make in order to get that relationship that you're looking for? Because that's exactly what all of this is kind of culminating to. And so just keep that in mind, because then a couple of days later, so as you're kind of thinking and you're figuring out what needs to go, what can stay, all of that, we have the full moon in Leo. And so that is going to impact your 12th house. The 12th house here, this is your house of endings. This endings could be secrets. So these would be things that you might want to release. I'm just trying to think through like what else could impact you within this 12th house. Definitely any kind of self-sabotaging behavior. So again, if you've been keeping people at arm's length, or you've been not really having the type of romantic relationships that you want for whatever reason, this would really open up your eyes to say, okay, the moon in Leo wants you to express yourself, your authentic self. And so with this, everything that you've been learning about yourself, if something that you're doing doesn't allow you to be your authentic self, let it go. That's what this is. Let it go. You don't need it. And then towards the end of the month, so on the 27th, we have Uranus stationing direct in the sign of Taurus. And so this is going to impact your 3rd house, but let me talk a little bit about what's happening here. So we had Uranus. It was retrograde. When a planet is retrograde, it's felt more internally than externally here. Taurus is, Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So this is, again, practical relationships. This would be that grounded type of relationship with anything. So this could impact really anything. With this 3rd house, we're talking about your communication, including the way you speak to yourself. So again, think about those self-sabotaging behaviors. Think about your communication outward to the rest of the world. This could be short distance travel, siblings, extended family, anything along those lines. When Uranus was retrograde, there might have been a lot of sudden upheavals internally. You might have had some emotional breakthroughs that were taking place during this time. I'm just trying to think through like what else could you, because this would be sudden. This would be something that was very uncomfortable, very unexpected. That Uranus energy is, it's a very liberating type of energy. This would be, I've got emotional blocks and I can now see them because of everything else that's happening, but I don't know what to do about them. Uranus says, I do. I'm going to step in and I'm going to remove all of these things out of your way. It is a tower. That Uranus energy is the tower in tarot. It will remove all of these blocks for you. And so just kind of keep that in mind. Whatever Uranus is shaking up here, whatever Uranus is removing from your life or suddenly adding into your life, because it can do that too. Not all towers just fully remove. It's usually remove with a kind of letting something new take its place. Keep that in mind. It's all very positive. There's a lot of positive energy surrounding this entire transformation that you've been going through. And you're going to be kind of, all signs are going to have you moving forward. All these planets are going to be in this direct energy. I love to see that because it's going to be for about 2 months. All these planets being direct indicate that it's like, okay, go and go, go, go. It's going to be this acceleration. There isn't going to be anything here that's going to hold you back. You are going to be moving forward. And that is until Mercury decides to station retrograde on April Fool's Day. So just kind of keep that in mind. So Cancer, this is your reading. Let me know if this resonates, if this worked for you, if you like this format. Leave a comment. I would love to hear what you have to say. And if this did resonate with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Take care.